Hey y'all, so today I'm going to be doing another monthly recommendations video. Monthly recommendations is a group on Goodreads where we get a topic every month and we recommend books within that certain topic. Because of Halloween, October's topic is creepy reads, and this can be anything from horror or paranormal books to thrillers and mysteries. Also at the end, I'm going to be recommending some horror movies that I really like to watch around Halloween time because I am a big horror movie buff and I would love to share some of my favorites with y'all. That being said, one more disclaimer before I actually jump into the list, and that is that I am not easily scared or creeped out. Most of the books that I will be talking about are not books that actually scared me or creeped me out, but are just books that I enjoyed that most people are creeped out by. However, there is one book on this list that legitimately creeped me out, and I'm saving that one for last. Also, if you couldn't tell by my voice, I am currently sick. I'm getting better, but my voice is still messed up. So now, onto the list. The first book on the list was probably the first one that came to mind for me because I actually read it last year as part of my creepy reads in October, and that is The Diviners by Liva Bray. Like I said, I don't really get creeped out by books, and this one didn't necessarily creep me out, but I do know that a ton of people were really freaked out by this book, and I, although I was not freaked out by it, absolutely loved this book. The Diviners, if you don't know, is a historical fiction paranormal novel set in the 1920s in New York City, and it centers around these people who have these very unique special abilities. The thing that I really love about this book is that it weaves together multiple different storylines into a really intriguing and interesting and mysterious, huge, chunky, wonderful book. The entire mood of this book is really mysterious, and the best way to describe the villain in here is just disturbing. Also, a lot of people have said that the audiobook for this book is even creepier than actually reading the novel, so if you do want it to be super creepy, I would recommend that. I have not listened to it, but from what I've heard, it is super creepy, and I love this book so much, and it's one of my absolute favorite books. And I'm hoping to continue on to the sequel sometime this month. My next recommendation is for anyone who's looking to check out some really creepy comic books or graphic novels, and for those people I would recommend the Lock and Key comic book series by Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez. The Lock and Key series is made up of these 6 trade comics. It is a completed series, so you could go ahead and just buy this box set if you wanted to and read the entire thing. So Lock and Key centers around the Locke family who move across the country to their family's old estate, and once they get there, they realize that this house has some really interesting keys that have some paranormal abilities. And I do have a full review on this series, so if you want to check that out, it is linked down in the description. Overall, I think that this is a really interesting and intricate series. It's not necessarily my favorite series, but I definitely think that some people would enjoy it more than I did. This was my first comic series, so I was really just dipping my toes into the genre, and I think it didn't resonate with me as much because of that. And I think that if I'd waited until I'd read some other comics, that I might have enjoyed it slightly more. That being said, the artwork in here is really cool and it's really mysterious, and I would definitely recommend it to anyone who is looking for some sort of graphic novel, comic book that's really creepy to read around this time. My next recommendation is less of a creepy read and more of a just very mysterious and intriguing read, and it also happens to be my favorite standalone novel of all time, and that is And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. And Then There Were None is just absolutely amazing. I love it so much, and even though it's not necessarily creepy, it is a murder mystery, and it's the best-selling murder mystery of all time, and it's so good, y'all. I will recommend this book whenever, wherever, to whomever. It's just so amazing, and I love this book so much. If you don't know the concept behind And Then There Were None, essentially 10 strangers are invited to this island for one reason or another, and once they get there, they start dying one by one, and they realize that one of them is murdering everyone. And it's just so intriguing, and I absolutely flew through it the first time that I read it because you just want to figure out who this person is who's killing everyone. And it's just a super intricate and well-constructed mystery, and I absolutely love it. And finally, we have reached the one book that managed to freak me out. And it's not even a horror novel, it's kind of a mystery slash sort of thriller. And that is Night Film by Marisha Pessl. I first read Night Film back in June, and I've talked about it quite a bit since then. I'll leave a link down in the description to my June wrap-up where I discuss this in more detail. But essentially, I just had an overwhelming sense of paranoia while reading this book. Like I said, it takes a lot to freak me out. I don't really get scared at scary movies. I really don't get freaked out at books. But this one messed with my mind quite a bit. The mood of this book is just very paranoid and mysterious, and like I said, this is the only book that has really ever completely creeped me out. So yeah, if you are looking for a book that will probably freak you out, I would definitely recommend Night Film. I loved this book, and it actually legitimately creeped me out. Also, if you want to check out some of the creepy books that I will be reading this October, I will leave a link down in the description to my September wrap-up and October TBR, where I talk about a lot of the creepy books that I hope to read this October. So now on to horror movies. I'm not going to be talking about very many horror movies, I'm really just going to be listing 3 that I really love, mostly because I'm going to be making a full video where I talk about my favorite horror movies for different genres of horror movies. And this list of these 3 is in no particular order. So the first recommendation that I have is The Shining. The Shining has been one of my favorite horror movies for quite a while. It's just really intricate and complex, and it really stands up to rewatching because you definitely see things that you missed the first time through. Overall, it's just a really, really awesome and weird and creepy movie, and I absolutely love it. The next one is, for me, a little bit less horror and a little more just gory psychological thriller, and that is, of course, the ever so wonderful Saw. Now, obviously, if you get grossed out by gore really easily, this probably isn't the movie for you. But if you really like really intricate and complex storytelling and storylines that are woven together in really interesting ways, definitely check out Saw. Saw is just really clever and really smart and well crafted, and I love it. And my last horror movie recommendation is The Ring. One general complaint about horror movies is that they tend to not have much of a plot outside of, killing people. But you can definitely not say this about The Ring. While it is definitely a typical horror movie that scares you all the way through, it has an actual plot and there is an underlying mystery to the story, and it's a really intriguing and clever mystery going on, and the characters are really interesting, and it's just a really awesome movie. So those are my creepy book and horror movie recommendations. Let me know down in the comments if you have read/seen any of the things that I mentioned in this video and what you thought of them. As always, I will leave links down in the description to my blog, Twitter, and Goodreads. Please add me as a friend on Goodreads. I would love to be friends with all of you. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!